Okay, so I'll just kick it off. Thanks everyone for joining. So some of you have seen my YouTube channel. I talk about career and personal development related stuff. Thanks so much for joining, guys. I really appreciate it. Gail and I got to chatting on LinkedIn, and she had invited me on. She was kind enough to invite me on. So really excited to talk to all of you about LinkedIn. She had mentioned that you're all going through a class and you're kind of learning some LinkedIn strategies, and some of the questions she kind of compiled for me, so we can go through those one by one, and then feel free to jump in the comment section with any follow-up questions that you have. The hope here is that I provide you guys a lot of value on the LinkedIn side of things. I've been producing content, doing a lot of video related posts for the past 6 months or so on LinkedIn. And I've been posting on YouTube for about 2 years. But this year I've taken more of like a, once a week, more consistent posting strategy on YouTube. So quick segment about me, quick blurb about me. If you don't already know, back in the day when I was in college, I was fortunate enough to start up a little electronics business. It was like home theater and car audio. It was a college entrepreneurial class project that I was fortunate enough to grow to a couple $1 million in sales. I sold that company in 2012, started up a smart home technology, kind of like an Internet of Things, Google Home, Alexa type of product before those things became popular. And that didn't really pan out for me. I lost most all of my money, and had to spend a couple years reinventing myself. One of the things I did there was on the reinvention side of things was I went and did an MBA program at the University of Colorado, and then I went to software development school for 6 months. It is 6 months of software development boot camp, and then landed at American Express as a senior PM, and currently I am at Amazon. I manage a product management team at Amazon. So that's kind of the rundown there on the career side of things. Any questions so far via chat? Let's see. No questions. Hey, Lisa, what's happening? Okay. Cool. So on the LinkedIn tip side of things, Gail gave me a couple questions, some main questions that the class had. One of them was the good profile tips question. So some of you guys have seen my video on 5 LinkedIn tips, that kind of summarizes things of how I'm thinking there. But I'll touch on this real quickly. There's a profile status that LinkedIn has called All-Star status. And it's not that difficult to get All-Star status on LinkedIn. But what it allows you to do, and I'll go through those 7 things. What it allows you to do is show up in search when recruiters are actually searching for potential hires. And so, I think a lot of people just look at LinkedIn and they just see as like this kind of this static, let me just throw a profile up there. Nothing's really going to happen. No opportunities are going to come to me type of scenario. But it's an incredible place to leverage yourself and find an abundance of opportunities to come your way. I mean, I think it really breaks down the barriers of the traditional, apply and pray model, where you submit a blank resume to a jobs portal, it gets filtered by 1 million people, and nobody ever sees it. And so, the LinkedIn platform is primarily a search engine for recruiters. That's the main way that it's being used right now. And to get a LinkedIn profile that is All-Star status, there's 7 things you need to do. One is you need to have a profile picture. Just the picture alone gives you 14 times more visibility by recruiters. So that alone, now it's really important to have a professional photo as well. But if you can at least have a photo on there, I have a lot of people that hit me up and they have no photos, and it's just kind of trying to get that first layer of like, who is this person? and how do they present themselves. I think it's really important to have that photo. The next thing is just to have an experience section filled in. So there's some just like baseline things that you can do. So picture experience section filled in, skills section filled in, having a summary that's just that big blank white space underneath your profile, to have a compelling narrative about who you are and what you stand for. Industry, location, and the last thing is connections. You need to have 50 connections at a bare minimum. And if you can compile those things, when you go and you edit your profile and actually like look at behind the scenes and you're logged into your profile, you can see what level of status you have and how many things you need to do to get to the next level. So they make it really easy to do. If you follow the steps, what winds up happening is you wind up showing ahead in search. So if somebody in search, a recruiter at Google, for example, is searching for product managers, right? They're looking to recruit. What they can do is they can, search for product management, and the people that have the all-star status are going to be the ones that show up first. And there's I'm sure there's some other ranking algorithm factors as well. How many related connections you have to other people at Google, the relevancy of your job title, and all of the other factors in there. So those are the 7 things at a baseline that I think are really important to have in your profile. Any questions so far? We'll see if no question, nothing yet. Okay. All right. Catherine's chiming in. Thanks, Catherine. All right. So another thing, we talked about LinkedIn trends. So I think one of the things that is going to happen, if we look at the trends of career, the trends of hiring, I personally believe that LinkedIn is going to really change the whole narrative. And tech 1212, I'll answer that in just a question here, in just a sec. So the way that LinkedIn is going to move, I believe, is it's going to be the single place where people look for, what's the right word? The single place that people look for validation on who you are and what you believe. And I think the resume will definitely fall to the wayside. I think what's winds up happening now is that there's around 500 million people using LinkedIn. Only about 1% of them are actively posting any video content, which I think is a tremendous opportunity to showcase who you are, what you think, what you believe, and also, a very small percentage of people are posting articles. So if you can create an abundance of content around yourself and think of LinkedIn more as that you're posting content as a mini media company, right? You think of yourself as a media company and you are posting content because the more you post, LinkedIn is a feed. And so everybody in your network, including recruiters, and most importantly, recruiters, are going to constantly be seeing your posts. And so one of the strategies I like to do, sometimes I'll just sit at lunch and I will be friending recruiters at different locations, right? Not necessarily because I want a job, just because I want a bunch of recruiters in my network because they're constantly going to see my feed and my posts. And so if you think about yourself as a media company in there, a massive amount of connection requests and followers will start coming to your profile. The past 28 days, I had around 500 connection requests. And I have a couple other people in my network that have thousands of connection requests coming. And by blindly submitting a resume to a jobs portal, you literally get no traction. But on LinkedIn, because I post one video, I wind up getting 6,000-7,000 views on that video. And drive a massive amount of traffic to myself, right? So because I'm thinking of myself as a media company. Let's see here. So I'll go to the questions here. So how important, Tech1212, how important are recommendations? I don't think they provide a ton of value. I think that you need to have a couple recommendations from people in previous organizations, or your current company and maybe one previous organization. If you're a student, I think you can get those recommendations from a couple of professors. I think those hold a lot of weight. But if you have like 10 or more recommendations, I think it's a little too much, right? Like 3 to 5 solid recommendations that are short and to the point are good. Let's see. Stephanie, I worked for one company for over 25 years. How much experience should I put in my profile? Okay, so Stephanie, I think the one thing that you want to ask yourself is, what's the job title that you have now? If you have a 25-year career, some of the things that wind up happening, like I personally believe in a one-page resume. Now, I think somebody with 25 years can probably extend into the 2-page range. But what I try to suggest to a lot of people is the most recent job, you have 3 to 5 bullet points that are impactful, achievements that you've had. And when you get into all these other, like these history of jobs that are probably somewhat unrelated, I don't think recruiters really care about any of those other jobs, right? It's good to just put a single line item that says from X date to X date, you worked for this company. If they need to know more, that's fine. But what I usually tell people is consolidate, 5, 6, 10 or so jobs that you had into a couple a couple line items, and then focus on your most recent 5 years of history and put the achievements of those as the focus point, right? And you can discuss those other jobs in a recruiter call if it comes up. Let's see. Lisa, you asked, what are good networking questions? So that's a little bit of a broad question. I'm not sure if that's more of like to get LinkedIn, LinkedIn connections or like LinkedIn meetup type of connections. So if I can interpret that as just if you're trying to reach out to somebody on LinkedIn, what I wind up doing is I have coffee chats all the time with people that I find interesting. And what I wind up doing is I just, find something interesting in their profile. And it's a genuine thing. I'm like, wow, I'm really interested in this. I'm not trying to sell myself on them. I'm not trying to ask them, for their assistance. I'm literally just saying, hey, I'm really interested in your background. Like, let's go have coffee on me. And I think if you're looking for a job, I think it's also really important to kind of position yourself that way, where you're not asking for a job, you're not asking for help, you're just coming from a position of true, genuine interest in that person. So if you're going after like a product management job or something like that, they may see in your profile that you're seeking an opportunity, but you don't have to sell it that way, right? You could say, I'm really interested in your experience, and what is your day in the life like? That's all I'm interested in. Would you be interested in meeting for 30 minutes, coffee on me, something along those lines? People are usually very interested in, in talking through that. And I never even ask the question, can you help me? Or I recommend to people not even to ask that question. Usually it winds up coming up if you have a really good connection during the meetup. So let's see. Now the chat messages, let's see, are they there? Yeah, okay. Let's see. So just which will motivate the own profile review after this live chat? Okay, let's see. Do you entire job experience within the last 5 years, or can you select which jobs you want to highlight? Do you have to post your entire job experience within the last 5 years? You can select which jobs. So I think it is important to show jobs from the last 5 years. I mean, if there's sometimes if you're working at the same company and you have 2 different roles that are somewhat related, it gets a little muddy. What you can do is you can kind of consolidate that into one job title and put bullet points that are that are related to all the tasks you did. It was a little broad of a question there, so let's see. Coffee chat, Lisa. Let's see. My dad was asking, excellent tips. Let's see. Suggestions which will motivate my own profile review after this live chat. Suggestions to motivate my own profile review. Let's see. Dad, that's a good one. I'm actually not. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a little broad. Can you maybe narrow that a little bit? Do you mean the whole profile? Because if you do mean the whole profile, I think that you want to stick to the key 7 things for all-star profile, right? Looking at your picture and determining if your picture is a quality, picture that represents who you are as a brand, right? Do you wear t-shirts, right? Do you wear collared shirts? Do you wear a suit? If you're in the financial industry, it's probably a good idea to have your professional profile show a suit. I'm in the tech industry, right? So there's my wife in the background. I'm in the tech industry, so having a t-shirt, stuff like that is perfectly fine. And then getting into experience, skills, a couple recommendations, just having those check boxes going through. I think the most important thing on your LinkedIn profile is your summary section, right? So you have picture, headline, which is just a blurb about your title and what you stand for. And then in your summary section, you craft a narrative that sells who you are. What are your top strengths? What are your top superpowers? What would you deliver to the table? And I think, as an aside, what winds up happening on a lot of resumes that I see is people don't know how to actually sell themselves, right? If I was looking at your resume, I want to make sure that you can deliver a massive amount of value to me because that's why I'm hiring you. And a lot of times people kind of position themselves as, here are the tasks that I do, not what I can achieve for you. Let's see here. Traveling to, when it comes to LinkedIn header bio, would you recommend the key information someone should write in their header? Okay, so there's the title line, and then there's the actual, white box description area, right? So the title line, it's really important to put the actual job title that you have followed by a unique positioning statement, right? So my title is Senior Manager of Product Management, Amazon, dash, man on a mission. Now, you can put whatever you want in there. Some people say like, connection maker. Some people say like, so they come up with a bunch of crazy titles. I think those are perfectly fine at the back, but the way search typically works in both LinkedIn and YouTube, the search algorithm picks up the first keyword phrase, and that's the most relevant phrase that recruiters are searching for, right? So make sure that that is the exact title that you would want to be searched on. Let's see here. No other questions. Any other questions on that topic? No questions on that one. Okay, no problem. Let's see. Let's see. Major accomplishments, number of direct reports. Okay. And budget responsibilities are important. How much do you convey in LinkedIn versus a CV resume? Yeah, right. So I think that's a really good question. I think it's important to mirror your CV to your to your LinkedIn profile as best you can. The thing is, the CV should probably go into more details overall. You can share a little bit deeper information. There's a lot of confidential stuff at the companies that I've worked for, and so I can't really share some of those details on my LinkedIn profile. I have to kind of be more broad in my LinkedIn profile. So a couple bullet points on the LinkedIn profile, but other than that, you can stick to a little bit more meaty stuff on the CV. Let's see, direct reports. I think it's, if you have a couple direct reports, table of organization, position, budget responsibilities, Yeah, I mean, I think that those things are important to put in there. Any confidential information, definitely keep off of the LinkedIn profile. Let's see, Tech1212. Where is the title? So the title is just under the picture. There's just, I think they just call it the headline. And so in that headline, single line item, put your job title there. Let's see, Gail, how can you look for a new job on LinkedIn when you're already employed and don't want to be found? Okay, so this is a really good one. There is a link behind the scenes. You know, when you're going in your profile, once you've logged in, there's a link, a little like radio button that says seeking opportunities. And you have that thing switched to on. And then what it does is it doesn't show any other people from your company that you're seeking opportunities. So it won't be presented to any individuals at your company at all. It'll just show to people outside. And I recommend that seeking opportunities button is flipped to on, even if you're not seeking a job. Like, I am always seeking opportunities. I am always open to different positions. What I can say though is that, you know, I think it's really important to stay in a job for at least 18 to 24 months. But if something came along, right, I mean, Google hit me up tomorrow and said, we're going to pay you 30 or 40% more, I would say, yes, no problem. I will take that opportunity. And so I often get confused why people are not putting in their profile seeking opportunities, because you never know what's going to come your way. Let's see. How can you say when you're already employed? Okay. Let's see. Tech1212. I'm still getting searched by sales, public relations recruiters when I want to be a web development. So Tech1212, you're looking to be in web development, and you want to be searched by web dev recruiters. Okay, so depending on what your headline is, that's going to be the key factor that that determines search. Also, right, the point would be get yourself to an all-star status. Use the steps within LinkedIn. It's super easy. It'll show you what profile status you have and then how you can progress to all-star status. That'll help you show up in search more. Also, the related connections of tech people in companies that you're really interested in, because if a recruiter is searching and there's a related connection, they're more likely to reach out to you because you show up as a possible friend to other people in the organization, right? It's like that third-party validation, like this person knows other people in the org, so they're not a total stranger. So try to make sure that your job title and your description is focused more to the topic of web dev and your position as web dev. What tips do you have for someone who is performing artist, musician, or for someone who doesn't have a conventional job? So, you know, if you're an artist, musician, you know, it doesn't have to necessarily be like professional corporate on LinkedIn. If you're an artist, musician, you know, I think it's a great place to showcase videos about your body of work, because you will get contacted by people for unique opportunities that you never thought were there if you start putting yourself out there a little bit. And it can definitely be a little scary at first, but I can tell you that the LinkedIn community is very open and easygoing. They're not like YouTube people bashing you all the time. And so I do think that putting some content out there could really help. Let's see, for someone who doesn't have a conventional job. Yeah, also, you know, Jacqueline, LinkedIn is a really interesting place, right? So a lot of people in like non-traditional industries are jumping over to the LinkedIn platform and understanding the value that LinkedIn actually has. So people that you maybe thought were inaccessible in other platforms, right? People that have millions and millions of followers on YouTube are just jumping into LinkedIn right now, and they're saying, wow, I should have a presence here for whatever, for whatever I do. And I think it's really important to start following and start connecting with those other individuals in the music artist type industry, because they're far more accessible through the LinkedIn platform. I've found, chat, comment them, say great posts, things like that, right? If you put insightful comments on their post, they'll comment back. You can send friend requests to them, and they're very likely, because LinkedIn is a pretty evergreen new platform for the social side of things. They're far more likely to connect with you. Let's see, using LinkedIn. Should you keep pictures on your profile devoid of cultural designation? So that's an interesting question. Devoid of cultural designation. I don't think so. I mean, if that's, if you have, the cultural designation, I think, is a strong suit. I personally believe, like, if you shouldn't be trying to hide it. Like, if that's the way you dress or present yourself every day, and that's the way you want to dress and present yourself, at work, then I think it's also important to present yourself that way in your photo. Let's see. Can you talk about the worldwide aspect? I read in our ebook that 200 countries use LinkedIn. Right. Yes. Yeah. So there are, I mean, the last I heard, there was, over 200 countries and 500 or more million active users with LinkedIn. That number is going to grow, I believe, exponentially, especially when LinkedIn becomes more of a social media, platform like it's becoming today. So I think for the types of opportunities that can come your way, the types of incredible people that you can connect with through the platform, I think it's a great time to start making sure that your profile is great, and also creating content, whether it's articles or videos that showcase who you are and what you believe. So how do you keep up with LinkedIn trends such as what you are describing here? So I think, I didn't know about any of this stuff 6 months ago, but when I started commenting on people's posts and following people who are popular through LinkedIn that do have a lot of followers and are active on the platform, I started to find out some of these nuances. And so once you jump in, you kind of slowly start to learn, like, what people, if they really like your article or not, if they're sharing your article, even if it's well written, how video content does, how it doesn't do with certain hashtags, where the platform's going. So I think you just have to jump in and really, feel out the platform and kind of just learn through trial and error. Let's see. Can you recommend some of the people who seem to be LinkedIn trenders besides Marvelous You? Okay, thanks, Gail. Appreciate it. Okay, so there are there's a bunch of people. What I can do, guys, is send a list of people that I follow through the platform. I can't think of all the names off the top of my head. There is one gentleman, his name's Quentin Allums, if I'm not mistaken. His hashtag is JustQ, JUSTQ. What he was able to do, I think he's a really perfect example of how you can grow to something you never expected. He started posting on LinkedIn, I believe, like a year and a half ago. I'm not sure the exact story, but he was doing like daily posts, just like about what his life was, what he was thinking about. And from that, he now has his own thriving media company, essentially. And so, I think, the beauty of all of this is if you're actively posting content, you never know what's going to come. And that's what's I feel is so exciting, right? Because I have people that hit me up all the time and I'm like, wow, like where could this go? Where could that go? And so, yeah, I'll definitely send over a couple people that I think you should follow that are really solid influencers on the platform. Let's see here. Any other questions, guys? Let's see. Am I missing any here? No, not yet. And Tech1212, not sure if I answered your question completely there. If I didn't clarify with any of these, let me know, guys. Since I can't hear you talking. Am I missing any more? No, let's see. Catherine, thanks. Appreciate it. Getting some good feedback here. Okay. Let's see. What else? Yeah, I'll say something else here. So since I've been posting video content, what I wind up doing is I post the same video on YouTube that I do on LinkedIn. I just change the ending a bit. So I just kind of shoot two different endings with the video content that I produce. What's really been amazing now that I actually have like a body of work that I can show on career and personal development, the calls that I can have with a recruiter now are very direct, very to the point, because I'll have somebody reach out to me and say, hey, we're interested in having you come work for X company in California. And I'll say, okay, cool. I'll send over a link to my LinkedIn profile and my YouTube content. So I have 52 videos now, right? Showing how I think, what I believe, and I encourage people to go over there and say, please check this out before the call. And then what winds up happening is we avoid all the stuff that normally happens. Like, why do you want to work here? What do you want? All those like general questions. And we get right to the point, and it has become extremely, extremely effective in connecting with people. Because usually the conversation winds up being, all about the content that I'm creating and why I got into it, right? It adds this like unique layer to who I am versus just talking straight through my CV. Let's see, I think this was asked, but I have over 25 years of military service. How far do I go back? And what do you recommend I do with all the military language? Right, okay, so this is a really good question. There is a lot of language, for example, at Amazon that other companies wouldn't use. One word, for example, at Amazon, people love to use the word mental model. People love to use the word alignment. At American Express, when I was there, people despised the word alignment. And they didn't use the word mental model at all. If you can, the cultures for these organizations are so strong. If you can, if you know somebody on the inside of an organization and you're able to have a conversation with them before you craft a resume for, a position within that company, ask them what the buzzwords are, and try to weave those corporate buzzwords in and kind of scrub the buzzwords that are not related to military or not related to, for example, American Express, if you're trying to go for Amazon. I think that's really important because it's a subconscious cue, seeing the word alignment or align, or a subconscious cue to see the word mental model, or if it's a particular job title that has, specific keywords. I think those are important to weave into the CV, but also weave them into the profile that you have, your LinkedIn profile. Let's see. What about quality of videos? Is it okay to start and be not really professional, which happens when starting? Yeah. So here's, this is a really great question. The first couple of videos I put out on YouTube were very corporate feeling. And I look back at them. I honestly, some of them I wish I could take down. I really want to take them down, because it's not me just sitting in a living room and talking. And interestingly, some of the videos that do the best are the ones with the shaky cam and the arm out, because if you're starting and people kind of see the progression over time of like where you're going, and so people want authenticity in these videos. They just want to hear you speak from the heart. That's the most important thing. I do think it's important to have like good audio quality, but if you have like a mic, near your face and you're doing like a selfie cam type thing, I think that's the way a lot of content creators are doing, and actually works much better than like a highly professional setup. Let's see here. Okay, so I answered the one from Venus. And traveling, writing, teacher. Was there any other, let's see, good profile tips? We talked about good profile tips, LinkedIn trends. We talked about using LinkedIn when not employed. We talked about having a job, being open to new opportunities. I can't think of anything else off the top, guys. If there's anything I'm missing, let me know real quick. Nope. Let's see. And guys, if you guys have any other questions, that pop into your head, feel free to reach out to me. I'll, give you my contact information. Happy to go through like LinkedIn profile strategy with you. Let's see. Venus. I have 2 LinkedIn profiles. Is there a way to link them? Okay, so that's a really interesting question. Linking LinkedIn profiles. I don't believe there is. I think it would be important for you to just have one. Venus, it's hard enough to manage multiple profiles. I'm not sure what the two are related to, but if there's a way that you can combine them, I think that would be much more beneficial, because if you're going to post content, it'll be a lot easier to kind of gain a following in one vertical than it would be in two. Let's see. Yeah, thank you guys very much. I really appreciate you coming to live sessions. It's the first time I've ever done YouTube live, so yeah, thanks Lisa, thanks Catherine.